This might sound a little bit woo-woo and a little bit crazy to some, but your happiness levels is totally related to the level to which your heart is open. Now, we don't really get taught about the heart opening or closing, but the knowledge of this goes back many thousands of years. So just because it's not taught today doesn't mean it's not true. We can look at the spiritual path as a path to more happiness. A lot of people these days, they just take their happiness levels as, that's just, yeah, I'm happy. But quite often they're not. They just say they are, they think they are. But happiness doesn't come from thinking. Happiness genuinely comes from feeling. Your happiness levels are essentially linked to the emotions that you feel. So if you're feeling more survival-based emotions, and we all feel survival-based emotions, so if you or people you know claim that they don't, then you would expect them to be vibrating at a very high level of love. And it's the lower emotions, the more survival emotions, that keep us in a lower frequency, and it keeps our heart closed. If you imagine a tribe that's under threat, they're not going to be hanging around with their hearts open and loving each other, because that's not going to help survival, right? We're built for survival. So the hearts have to close in order for them to go into the fight or flight stress states, in order to maintain safety through action. They have to think about how they're going to fight this threat or escape it, whatever it is. Escape or fight, fight or flight. It all comes from the sympathetic part of the nervous system. Now, another thing we haven't been taught is that emotions, every single emotion carries with it a different frequency, and we feel those frequencies through the body. Now, I know some of you are going to be on board with that, and I know some of you won't. If your initial reaction to what I'm saying is to shut down and cut off the words that I'm saying, then maybe these words are triggering something within you that you don't want to feel, and that's why you don't want to hear about these things. But if you come this far, then you're probably at least a little bit interested in what I'm talking about. So hear me out. Every emotion has with it a different frequency. You can experience that from yourself. Let me just check my mic. You can experience that for yourself by going through the different emotions. Now, these emotional states we have are the tool that we can use to get what we want in life and to go after what we want. And it's kind of simple when you think about it, right? If you're afraid of something, or if you're feeling courage towards something, which emotion is going to help you get that thing? Whether it's more money, get you that relationship, get a telephone number from a beautiful woman, whatever it is. If you're afraid of doing that thing, you're probably going to hold back. If you're feeling courage towards it, which means you believe that you can achieve it, you're going to step towards it. Courage or fear, two totally different emotions. One's going to hold you back, one's going to propel you forward. Now, courage and fear aren't the only emotions, there's many others. If you think about when you feel shame, and then you feel that shame in your body, if you remember a time when you felt a little shame, you'll notice that that carries a frequency in your body. It's almost impossible to deny that. Shame comes with an awful lot of heaviness. We feel the heaviness in our body. And the more shame we have, the harder it is going to be to have an enjoyable life. And when we're in shame, you think how impossible it is to love someone when you're feeling so much shame. Now, you can still have love for family and friends, don't get me wrong, but in order to actually feel the love in that moment, feel it here, when you're in shame, I mean, it's going to be very hard. And that's because shame is such a heavy, dense emotion that's connected to survival. If you think you're bad now, it just doesn't activate your heart. Fear is a slightly lighter frequency to shame, right? We would rather feel afraid than we would shameful, because fear isn't such a low frequency emotion. It still can be considered a low frequency, but it's not as low as shame. So in shame there's a little bit more lightness, in fear there's a little bit more lightness. So we're more likely to step forward towards something if we're afraid than we are if we're ashamed. And we can go up a notch to anger. A lot of people consider anger to be almost a heavier emotion. And I can understand why, compared to fear. Because fear doesn't have as much activation in the body as anger does. But that anger actually activates us into action. So if there's something you want to get done in life and you're not because you've got a lot of fear, if you tapped into anger, and maybe there was the anger that you have towards never stepping forward towards this thing and you get a bit pissed off, that brings a bit of activation and it's of a higher frequency, and rather than being shut down and hiding, which we do in fear, in anger now there's a stepping forward. Now we might not care so much about hurting other people when we're in anger, and that is the expression of anger because we feel we're in some kind of danger, even if we're not, but our unconscious thinks we're in danger, so it fires off anger to fight the threat. And that threat could just be other people in general, just people in general. We all carry fears and insecurities around other people, which is why these emotional survival states are triggered off when we're around other people. So if you're going after a business, you're going to have to deal with a lot of people, and if you tap into a lot of anger, you might not care about the people you're doing business with or the people that are working for you, but at least you're fucking moving forward. Now, it's coming from a level of stress, anger, so it's not something that I recommend people staying in, but if you have a lot of fear and if you have a lot of shame, tapping into anger is a very good thing. Now notice how in anger it's a kind of a win-lose scenario. You're not really bothered about other people, you're too centered on you and how you can gain something. If you want to step from anger to an even higher frequency such as courage, then you're going to need to change from a win-lose scenario to a win-win. And in win-win, when we do business, we're going to ensure that not only do we benefit from whatever business we're doing, but the other people do too. Does that make sense? It's how we climb from anger, which is survival emotion, to courage, which is more of a unity emotion. And that is in how we treat other people. By being concerned about other people, we rise by not so much being concerned, but caring about how other people are affected by our actions, we naturally come up into the higher emotions because we're not just focused on ourselves. When we're focused on just us, our heart closes more, right? And we trigger the survival emotions which are linked to stress, which make it very hard to be happy. And because we're not happy, we're constantly searching for something to make us happy. But there has to be this transitional period to go from a survival emotion to a unity emotion where it's not all about us now, it's about others too. Now this will come across in my videos. Okay, in the past, when I tried recording videos, I couldn't get beyond the 2-second mark. Sometimes I would talk for 20 seconds and I'd go into all the shame around what other people think, and people I know watching the videos. It was so heavy, I just had to stop, think about someone else, do something else. And I was like that for a long time. And so of course I couldn't do the thing, I couldn't record the videos. Now, if the more I'm focused on how I'm going to gain from these videos, so if I'm only focused on my subscribers, on people booking coaching with me, if that's all I'm thinking about, then that's going to come across in my emotions, and we express from our emotions. So my words aren't going to land with you guys quite as much. But if I focus on what value can I bring to you guys, and trust that the right people will find it, and therefore the right people will come to me or not for coaching, or whether they're going to subscribe to my channel or not, if I just trust that what comes back is what's needed, and I just focus on what I can give, the value I can give, it's going to make me feel better, it's going to make my emotions rise, and it's actually going to help bring things in. And I have been caught out in a lot of survival emotions recently. So I think that some of my videos have come from kind of pushing my message onto people, and getting a bit annoyed when some of my videos don't get the number of views that they get. And that can kind of antagonize me a bit, because I feel like I'm putting a lot into these videos and I don't always get back what I think I deserve. But that just proves that I'm not focused on the value I'm giving. I'm focused on what I can get back. And in that, the emotions get heavier. I fall more into stress states. I don't feel so good. So this can not just be applied to business, but it can be applied to relationships, right? If you're sitting across a beautiful woman on a date, if your entire focus is on you, what you can get, whatever it is you want from her, if you just focus on trying to get that, your expressions, your body language, your facial expressions, everything about you will communicate that you're there for you only, and your heart will be closed. You can't get that open heart. She'll feel the heavier, more survival-based emotions from you. Now, if that's all she's used to from men, then that might be fine. You might get your needs met in some way. But if you want to have a happy, healthy relationship, you need to be concerned. You need to care about her. You know, even if you just met her, it's like, what can we gain from this interaction? How can we both benefit from this relationship? Even if it's just a one-night thing. If you can do that, then your heart is naturally going to open, your vibration is going to rise up, she's going to feel that too, and now you're going to have a more happier, even healing experience. Relationships can be deeply healing when your focus is less on you and what you're going to get, and you put a bit more focus on together, what are you both going to get from the relationship. And when the heart opens, I like how the science come up with this. When the heart opens, we're naturally more real. We don't hide our authentic self. We don't hide our emotions so much. We don't hide our thoughts. We're more free to share who we truly are, because we don't fear rejection so much. Now, I know there'll probably be a lot of guys getting a bit triggered when they hear this, and they will think they're very conditioned by this sort of red pill mentality that teaches men to like hide everything from your woman. I mean, it's all coming from a closed heart. It's coming from fear. It's coming from trauma. All red pill teachings is coming from trauma, and it's from men that don't understand their trauma, and they're closing off their bodies. They're going in, their relationships are mostly based on stress, and that feels better to them than what they previously had when they were probably too vulnerable, because they were vulnerable to get their needs met. That felt even heavier. So it's better, it feels better to be a red pill man where we're closed off and being not very nice to women. That feels better than if we're totally being abused by women and feeling a lot of shame, obviously. But if that's all you are, then you're just missing out on a whole lot more. You're also going to attract women that are vibrating at your level too. So, you know, a lot of these guys that do these podcasts that are just focused on how women are silly and wrong, right? And they think that all women are like concerned about Instagram followers. I mean, that's total bullshit. But they're the sort of women that they're attracting, so they see that as their reality. But the truth is, when you start thinking and caring about you, but also her, your heart will open more, you'll be more real, and now your authenticity and your vulnerability isn't coming from please love me more, it's coming from this is who I am. And that's where our true authenticity lies. Check the energy of any man who says that you shouldn't be like that with women. He might have 20 women lined up. It doesn't matter. You can be a man who beats women up and still have women queuing up at your door. It's not about getting women. It's about loving them and having them love you. And that can only come from an open heart. It can't come from the survival emotions. And in order to open your heart with women, you've got to let go of your attachments to them. It's the only way. And when you're attached to them, when you've got your mind attachments, you need something from them, you need them to approve of you, you need them to tell you that you're good. Whatever it is, survival emotions, stress, boom, you're going to shoot down to the heavier emotions now. You can apply this to all areas of life, guys. It's not just women, it's not just business, it's any relationship at all. It's going to make you feel better, it's going to make you feel more confident, it's going to raise your vibration. It's the way to be. Follow for more. If you want to get to meet me, I'd love to meet some of you. Click the link. I'm doing a free workshop every Thursday. Just book it in. I hope to meet some of you there. Take care.